Disclaimer.
The thoughts and opinions expressed by our guests are not necessarily the views of Tash, Becky, or Be Your Best You podcast.
Hey there, lovely people. Welcome to Be Your Best You with Tash and Becky, your go-to hangout for all things spiritual, subconscious, and downright magical. We're here to sprinkle a little mystical wisdom into your everyday life and help you level up your reality.
Picture this as your cosmic coffee date, where we chat about the unseen world, blend in some psychology vibes, and stir up the subconscious magic. Get ready to be the queen of your own reality, live a life that lights you up, and have a blast doing it.
So grab your latte or your tea and let's dive into another episode of Be Your Best You, where the mystical meets the mundane and your best life awaits.
Cheers to creating magic together.
Let's do this.
Hi, welcome back to another episode of Be Your Best You with Tash.
And Becky, the guest edition. And today on the show, we've got Jenna Holloway.
Jenna is a business coach who blends nervous system and subconscious work to help people in their businesses prevent them from going into burnout, basically. She helps people expand their capacity to be able to hold their business, but also hold their family life as well. So we don't have to choose between, do we give all our attention to our business or our family? We get to have both. And Jenna helps you to do that. Our conversation with Jenna was so activating.
Oh my gosh, yes. I think I said I could feel my brain rewiring as we spoke. So I think you're really going to enjoy this one.
Yeah, hopefully you will feel the same and you'll get lots of takeaways.
Yeah.
Even if you don't have a business or you're not trying to run a business, this transpires to all areas of your life. This is a really powerful episode, guys. We hope you enjoy it. Before we start, if your mind is constantly telling you, I should be doing more, and you're stuck in that cycle of overthinking, pressure, and never feeling like you've done enough, we've made you a free 12-minute audio reset. It's called Return to Self, and it's linked in the show notes. And today we have on the show Jenna. Jenna, welcome.
Hi, Jenna.
Hi, thank you very much for having me.
Thank you so much for coming on. So today, Jenna is basically going to talk to us about nervous system and subconscious safety work within your business so that you don't have to struggle and stress with your business. You can actually have a business that runs with ease, that doesn't have you kind of focusing on it every single moment of the day. So you basically can enjoy your life the way we should be.
Lovely.
So, Jenna, over to you. Can you just tell everyone a little bit about what it is you're doing in the world right now and how you got to doing this in the first place?
Yes. So I think the way I think is different to what is generally accepted by just the whole state of when somebody thinks entrepreneur, they think, oh, that person must work really hard. That person must think about their business 24/7. That person must, even think about their business when they're on holiday. And it doesn't have to be true. It's understandable why it's true. And I'm sure we'll go into that in detail in this episode. But yeah, it's just completely not what needs to be. So my whole why of what I do and why I do it has come from a place of growing up with entrepreneur parents. And well, they broke up when I was 5 years old, but one side, they both had their own businesses, and one side, they were really successful. They worked really hard, and I, had a great childhood. But coming into adulthood and becoming a mum, I kind of realized there was stuff that I internalized growing up that I shouldn't have if my mum had done the work that I help business owners with. And, obviously everybody's always doing their best, and I don't, I've done the work to kind of heal from that, but it feels like everything that I've been through has led me to the work that I'm doing today, because I also struggled to have my children. I had a 5-year infertility journey. And after multiple rounds of IVF, I got my twin girls, and it was amazing. And back then, when they were born, I was working in teaching. I was a secondary languages teacher and like absolutely loved my teaching career. I thought I was going to be a teacher forever. But then when I went back after maternity leave, I knew that I was done. And like, I just really felt this pull to help people on a deeper level. And it kind of connected the dots because somewhere along the line, I knew that I was always going to have my own business. I just never knew how. And then, yeah, I just felt called to train as a hypnotherapist so I could help people on a deeper level. Long story short, I was building my business around my toddler twins in their nap time, working really, really hard, and feeling a real, what's the word? Like, real discomfort in my body that I had waited years to get my girls. And I was now clock watching to take them to nursery so that I could crack on with my business. Like, it didn't sit right with me at all. And that's when over time, started working with more and more business owners. And it's brought me to what I do today because I stopped. I worked on my own issues that why is that happening? And became a version of me who didn't do that and was able to like have boundaries in place and, you know, be fully present with my girls and all of that. And that's now what I help business owners with. And yeah, that's kind of where I got to what I do today.
Oh, that's awesome. And I just think like hats off to you starting off and building a business when you've got toddler twin, not just one toddler, but two toddlers.
Crazy. Exhausting.
I mean, talk about like really going hard, intense into like learning the lessons because I know what it's been like. I've started my business when my kids are teenagers or nearly, and that's hard enough.
And then to be able to turn it around in the middle of all that, that's pretty amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, honestly. So you know your stuff. and obviously there's so many people that I work with and I talk to that are stuck in this exact pattern. You know, they've wanted to start a business. It's heart led. It's their purpose in a lot of ways, and their soul like calling them to do it. And yet then they get into it like, what? Oh, this isn't what I thought it was going to be, or this isn't what I imagined. And maybe it can't be any other way. And so yeah, I love what you're doing to say like, oh, actually, no, it can. I've done it, and now I'm helping other people do it too.
Yeah. And it's so hard because we're never taught to trust ourselves, right? Like as kids, we are actively taught to not trust ourselves, you know, like being told to finish what's on the dinner plate in the school canteen because, well, you shouldn't listen to your hunger cues, right? Or like parents are saying like, do you need a wee? You sure you don't need a wee? When you're like potty training, like, rather than letting the kid communicate and trust, even if there are accidents, right? Letting the kid learn that it's safe to trust their body, you know, or like we don't teach how to know the difference in our body between an idea that feels expansive, that actually is intuition trying to get through to you versus an idea that is fear-based and trying to keep you safe. We're not taught the difference or anything like that. We are taught the value of logic and the value of using our brain to get where we need to be, the value of working hard and all of this. And ultimately, when it comes to trying to start and grow a successful business, when you have other priorities in life, like I think if you're young and you're starting your business without any other responsibilities, go hard, like have fun, do your thing. But the problem is, and like the people that I really serve are the people who have other responsibilities in life, whether that is, you know, an elderly parent, or maybe they've got a chronic illness that means that they need to look after their body and their health and be more mindful with it than, you know, putting everything in the business, or they've got kids and they want to be present with those kids, whatever it is. Like when you've got other things on your plate too, it's important that you're able to show up in your business in a way that aligns with your values and how you want to be showing up. And the issue is with the conditioning that we have around all sorts of things, right? Trust, our relationship with time, our relationship with money, our relationship with what's possible for us, our relationship with how we create our reality, like all of it. When we've got things that are happening underneath the surface, below our conscious awareness, that are influencing our decisions, they make us show up in ways that we don't want to be showing up. For example, checking our phone when our partner's trying to tell us something that's really important, just things like that's why I do what I do.
Yeah, it's amazing. And so I suppose, thinking of people listening now, what's the kind of concerns, or how are people who you are serving, what do their lives look like? Like, what is their business looking like right now that is obviously not working for them and is keeping them in this pattern of like, maybe even questioning, I don't know whether I can carry this on anymore. Like, what does it look like for those type of people? And then people probably can recognize themselves in that.
Yeah, literally that, like, they don't feel they've got the energy to continue the way they are going, because the cost of the success that they've got or that they have created doesn't feel sustainable. So like, and I think the best way I can describe it is, on paper or like from the outside, their business looks really successful. Yeah, they've got the clients, they're getting the great results, they're earning a decent income, but their experience of it is totally different. And they don't stop to like rest. They can't be present when they want to be, so they're like, even if they've got a team, for example, and they're on holiday and their team is saying, switch off, we've got this. And intellectually they know that their team has got this. Something stops them from taking their finger off the pulse, so they just cannot ever switch off. And and the problem is, like with my ideal client, a lot of the time they're very self-aware. They see their patterns, and they know what they need to be doing, but they don't know why they can't do it. So it's a really frustrating place to be in, because they know they want to be having better boundaries, and they know they want to be switching off in the evenings and the weekends, and they know they want to be, going to that dance class or whatever. But for some reason they can't do that. And maybe they do it for a little while, but it's not sustainable. And so they constantly end up feeling like their business is taking up too much of them. And if they want to keep creating the results, they have to pay this cost, right? They can't see a way of having successful business, like continuing the results that they have, or growing their business and doing it in a way that feels peaceful and relaxed, and in a way that lets them live their life fully.
Yeah, that's, I mean, and obviously, like, gosh, this is the kind of work that I've been doing, and we've spoken about this on the podcast a lot, haven't we? The work that I've been doing in my business, because, I just hated the fact that I started my business because I was so like passionate about it. It came from an identity shift that I had as well, and which I wanted to then share. And it started as this thing that just like lit me up in every single way. And I was so excited about it. And then somewhere along the way, it just became so toxic. It was just like, I was like, how have we got here? And, I hated what you saying about your twins as well. Like, my kids would be talking to me, they'd be coming home from school and trying to tell me about their day, and I'm almost like effectively with my energy saying, can you just shut up a minute because I'm busy, I'm working.
I know.
And it's horrible, isn't it? It's like, and I was like, no, this has got to change. But and I kind of like, I'm so interested now for like you to go into, because obviously as a hypnotherapist and subconscious, doing subconscious work as well, I know kind of what's involved, but I'd love to hear how you go about helping people to not feel that way, to be present in the moment. Yeah, yes, for their business as well when they need to be, because I don't know about you, but I've really found as well, like getting the balance between the presence of life and the business was really hard, because sometimes I'd skew over the up when I'd catch myself doing that, being too much in my business. I'd have all the guilt, I'd feel bad, and then I'd go the other way, and then I'd like neglect my business because that had become an evil thing. And now I'm like, right, now I need to be present with my family and the house and my husband, da 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 da. And I'm like, I've just gone quiet over here. It's
And I
really
guess that
hard.
cycle just goes round, jumping from one side to the other and not being able to find that balance, that middle ground.
Yeah. So the work that I do is all around capacity, because when you don't have the capacity for both, right, the business growth in a way that doesn't cost you your evenings and your presence and your time to have hobbies and all the things, when it's like either or, it's impossible to grow your business in a way that feels really sustainable and light. So the work that I do is all around capacity. And it's funny actually, because it's really shifted for me, because I experienced exactly what you said, Tash, around going the other way. Like I massively had that pendulum swing of, right, I'm going to make sure that I am letting my business sit in this tight box, and I'm going to make sure that I am filling my own cup first, so I'm fully present for my girls, and I had all of these standards around really protecting my boundaries and my time. But actually what happened, and also alongside that, I felt a pull away from hypnotherapy towards intuitive coaching and mentoring. And I don't know where it came from, but I just found like over time with my client sessions, I would just like put my hand on my heart and let something flow. And to this day, I still don't know where it comes from, but it's an amazing feeling. And that's how I run my whole business now. But I didn't realize over time, like I let my whole business shrink because unconsciously I had decided, and literally it took me like at least 18 months of business shrinkage to come to this awareness, that I had unconsciously decided that I could have what you were saying, being fully present in my life or the successful business. And what's more, layered on top of that was my kind of extra story, which I'd accidentally told myself, which was, right, you want to move away from hypnotherapy, Jenna, because you want to really feel like you're doing it your way and like leading with this sort of intuitive gift that you've got. Okay, great, do that. But it's not as quote unquote valuable as this thing that you're trained in and the thing that you've got the qualification in. So like literally like it's crazy. And when you accidentally make up stories that you don't realize you've made up, you create a whole reality around it. And so it took me like 18 months of shrinkage and getting in my own way to actually spot what had happened. And I'd invested like so much money in strategy and coaches and, so much in myself to try and work out like why we were stalling here. And I ended up realizing it like towards the end of last year. And it was all down to my lack of capacity to hold my life, my personal life in the way I wanted it. That was all fine, right? Nailed it. Dancing many hours every week, being fully present with my girls, everything. Personal life, wonderful. Ticked all those boxes, living my best life. But I hadn't worked out how to have the capacity to maintain that and grow my business. And I realized it was down to the standards that I had for myself, right? They just weren't where they needed to be if I was going to create the business that I wanted to create. And so what happened was I basically fixed myself first. I worked out, how am I going to allow myself to grow this capacity to be the version of the business owner that I need to be, that creates the results that I want, whilst also maintaining the balance and the personal life that I'm happy with. And that's where my whole methodology that I teach now comes from. And it worked. And it's so incredible because it is a moment to moment sort of methodology all around awareness. And it's really powerful because it means that it doesn't matter how long you've been telling yourself a story and creating a reality that you don't want. You can draw a line in the sand, decide something new, get really clear on the version of you who has that in the way that you want it, right? The way you want it to feel, and create that reality by being aware in each moment. What decisions are you making? Where are you putting your energy? Where are you showing up with old programming versus the programming that you are working towards? And basically everything that I do now is as a result of me working it out to fix my own business. And yeah, I'm happy to share any of that you think your listeners would find useful.
All of it. Yeah, no. And I have to say, it's so funny.
We're laughing
because you've literally just,
as everything that Tash is, you too. Yeah.
At the same time as well, like all of it, just all of it. You could have been talking
every
about
single
me.
word you said, you've said.
Yeah. And it's like, and I wonder how many other people out there have kind of like, obviously they might not be hypnotherapists and that, but you know, like that's gonna resonate with. I would imagine it will. And so yes, please, like however you kind of want to give it to, sorry, I can't get my words out. So funny. But yeah, like, no, just whatever you're happy to share, however you're happy to do it, because obviously, like, I really appreciate when people have gone through it and then come out the other side and then said, now I'm going to teach because that's how I work as well. And so I know, like, you're going to understand all the intricacies, exactly how people are feeling and exactly like the things that are going to be popping up, but you can be a perfect example of how you're actually making it, you know, happen and change it, because it's really hard when we're talking about these kind of concepts, the subconscious stuff, the capacity. It's not necessarily tangible, is it? Especially if you're not in the world that we're in, where we're constantly talking about it and we see it all the time. We have a privilege of seeing other people's and as well as our own, so it's easier. But like, as much as I suppose you can, to just let people know how they expand their capacity in the moment, how they're going to do that, what that looks like, what it feels like, so that they can kind of translate that into their own, you know, in whatever situation, because it might not necessarily be business, but this stuff can translate over all areas and aspects, can't it? So yeah, over to you, Jenna, honestly, because obviously you've lived it, you know. Yeah. So I think, like, first of all, you need to know, I'm sure like anybody who's listened to more than one episode of this will know, you will have said this a million times yourself, but your brain's number one job, your brain and your nervous system's number one job is to keep you safe. So it doesn't care about your goals, your vision, what you know your full potential looks like. It doesn't care about fulfillment or like big dreams, like none of it matters at all. Its number one job is to just keep you safe, protect you, and keep you alive. So it does that by working out what you've experienced before and having this like dashboard in your mind of past experiences and what you've made those experiences mean. And also your understanding around time and money and what's possible for quote unquote someone like you. And your whole identity, right? The beliefs that you have about yourself and all of that is sitting right under your conscious awareness and influencing the types of thoughts that come through to you. Now, I'm going to talk about a red flag thought, because I think that is really, really key. Like if you take one thing away from today's episode, it's the concept of a red flag thought and how you can completely have all power over it. So a red flag thought is any thought that doesn't feel good in your body. Okay. So say, for example, you're aware that your client sessions overrun too much, and you're aware that you have this pattern of overgiving, and you're aware that you don't want to do that anymore because you don't want to you just don't want to do that, right? You want to have better boundaries. So you tell yourself, right, I'm gonna stop this session on time. So you do that, and like you really make yourself do that, even if it's uncomfortable. And then after the session, a red flag thought will come in and it will tell you,
you didn't overrun today. So your client is thinking that they didn't get what they thought they would get because you've overrun before, right? So a red flag thought, that red flag thought does not feel good in your body because it's making you tell stories that don't feel good to try and protect you, right? To try and make sure that you carry on overgiving next time, right? Thoughts create feelings in the body. And so you can check in with yourself around each thought and just ask, does that thought feel good? And just like side note, expansive thoughts can feel scary, but there's a difference, right? Like a red flag thought will be more along the lines of, oh crap, I've done something wrong. Is something bad gonna happen now because I've done this thing? Or will something bad happen if I do this thing, right? That feels more scary than an expansive but excited feeling. That's different, okay? So what you need to do around red flag thoughts is just remember all the time, they are always going to be fear-based because your brain just wants to protect you. Okay. Right. So when you know that it's fear-based, you can see it for that. And what you need to do in that moment is come back into your body. Depending on like how big the red flag thought is, it might just feel slightly uncomfortable, and a quick reframe into, what else could be true? That can be enough for you to like not change your decision, not like overgive next time or whatever, right? But if you can feel anxiety or uncomfortable feelings in your body, then you need to regulate, right? Because if your body is in a state of fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, you can't grow. Your business, you will not let yourself grow in a way that feels good because your body is literally in fight or flight and survival mode. Okay, so your job in that moment, when you notice a red flag thought, is to calm and regulate your nervous system. And that can be literally as simple as breathing, standing up and shaking and moving some energy, going for a walk, putting music on, journaling, whatever you want to do. But your number one priority in that moment is to regulate. Okay. Once your body is back to a safe place, once you're regulated, you can access better thoughts more easily, right? So the next part of my whole methodology, it's called the climb method, is that you align with the version of you that has it all already in a way that feels good. So I get my clients to get complete clarity over what that looks like. What's the version of you that has what she wants already? How does she think? How does she move? How does she feel? What does she no longer tolerate? What is easy for her now? What is normalized in her body? All of those things. And when you've got that clarity, it's like programming your GPS, right? You've got that in your awareness so that when you've caught a red flag thought and when you've regulated, you can then access what I call the power thought, right? Basically the opposite of your red flag thought, that thought that gives you energy, that gives you the capacity to make a different choice. And then the next step is you do that. And basically my whole methodology is that on repeat over and over again. But the first piece that is the most important thing is being able to catch it. Okay. And I really teach my clients to just do this themselves on repeat. And the way I work with them is that they understand this methodology. It's very simple, but it's not about understanding it. It's not about understanding it. It's about like embodying it in the moment, in the day to day. And the first step is catching it, because those red flag thoughts can go under the radar and make you make choices that you don't want to make. And you don't spot them until like 18 months down the line when you're like, fuck, my business has shrunk. Like the point is that you catch them, right? Because you can't change what you can't catch. And so, the way I work with my clients is they've got the methodology, and the whole point, the whole time we work together is for them to practice it. And I'm there alongside them for when they don't know how to shift a red flag thought, or they don't know how to hold something differently. I give them a different lens, and it just can change the whole way they look at a pattern that they've had for 20 years, and it could just collapse literally in the space of a conversation because I just help them see things differently. Does that all make sense?
Yeah, no,
Totally.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And actually what you just said there when you were saying and how you help people is this is what something I was going to ask you next, because I know a lot of people are like, but I don't know how it can be any other way. You know, like, because obviously people just are so used to what they know, and we know beliefs are just, you know, like, they feel very real, they feel very true, don't they? So when someone only knows about, you know, business has to be a struggle, you have to be on 24/7, you know, their own version of, you know, them, what I see a lot, and to be fair, in the past and at certain levels, I still feel it, is like, we know we have to align with that higher version of us, or the version of us that wants, you know, it to be a certain way. But sometimes it's really hard to know what that version of you looks like. How does she feel like, because you don't even know it's possible. And so obviously I guess that's how you help people. You can kind of see through that lens and give them that kind of idea, so to speak, of what that could be like.
Yeah, exactly that. And I think it's really, really, well, my clients tell me it's really helpful. So the way I work is really intuitive, but if I feel called to like give an example of something in my life, even if it doesn't feel directly related, I will share it, and they'll be able to they'll be able to see things that they couldn't see before, because they see a different way, kind of thing. What was the other thing? Oh, the other thing is I'm really, really open with my clients about my red flag thoughts, because I forgot to say this earlier, but the idea with red flag thoughts is you're not trying to get rid of them. You're just you are just working on holding them so that they don't affect you. So for example, I can have, like, when I work, I really just flow with whatever wants to come through. And sometimes that can look like I will literally have just asked a client, what would you like to work on today? Or what would you like to get out of the session? And they'll come to me and they'll say, I don't know, they'll say, I want to bring a sales conversation that I had yesterday. It's making me feel uncomfortable, and this is why, kind of thing. And I've literally just asked the question, what do you want to bring to me today? And something in me might say, we're going to go over here and we're going to talk about something completely different. I don't know why. Like, I don't understand why we need to go there, but I just intuitively feel called to go there. So I trust it. Now, I don't do this now because, like, obviously I've worked on my own methodology myself, but in the past, that used to wave a massive red flag thought at me, because my brain would say, you've just asked them, Jenna, what do they want to get out of the session? And now you're basically saying, actually, can we change the subject? I don't want us to talk about that. Let's go over here instead. My brain would be like, they're going to think then you're going to think, what's the point in asking me if you're going to do something completely different? Or, you know, like all those understandable red flag thoughts. And if I let those red flag thoughts in the moment affect how I was being called to lead the session, I would not be able to do my job the way I do it, because I would have let the fear of what my clients think of me get in the way. Okay. So basically I'm very open with my clients about red flag thoughts that I have all the time. And that's really good for them, because they see that they still happen and they don't have to affect you. Right. And that's the whole thing. It's about shrinking the power that your red flag thoughts have over you, and keeping the power within you, and knowing that it doesn't matter how uncomfortable the intuition is. Like, people in my world get really good at trusting their intuition. And a lot of my clients come to me and they're like, I know what I want to do. I know what my heart wants me to do, but I can't actually bring myself to do it. There's too much resistance or whatever. Like, doing what you know you need to do, but actually doing it is two different things. So the capacity is what we work on, the capacity to hold the discomfort of a red flag thought and not change your choice, right? Still move the way you know you want to move. Yeah. I'll stop talking because I've talked for a while, but I have a different example if you want to hear as well.
Yeah, please. No, please go ahead.
So when I was saying about so I worked on trying to grow my business whilst also maintaining my sort of personal life boundaries. And that is that I don't work, I pick my girls up from school and I spend the afternoon with them. And then most evenings I'm dancing, or my husband's at CrossFit, so I'm at home. But if I'm at home, like, and my girls have gone to bed, I'm not working, kind of thing. Those are my standards and I don't want to drop from them. So if, for example, I'm working on something like on my business rather than like leaving a decent amount of time to create content, for example, and I notice, oh shit, I've only got like 20 minutes until school pickup, I will just make myself, not from a place of force or hustle, but from a place of really trusting myself, what's on my heart, what needs to be said, and get a piece of content out quickly, like in 10 or 15 minutes or whatever, rather than thinking, right, okay, I'm either not going to post today, or I'm going to work on it tonight after my dance class, or I'm going to work on it whilst my kids are in the garden, and that means I'm going to be on my phone whilst my kids, but just this once kind of thing. Can you see how I'm not letting my standards slip, but I'm just changing my decisions to make sure I reach my standards without choosing to go and like break my promises to myself. Caveat though, if I don't say the next bit, you can easily take that and be like, oh shit, I'm going to fail unless I get 100% here all the time. No, what I teach my clients is the version, that clarity that they got over that version of them, that how they do it. We call it their next level embodied profile. They've got that clarity in their mind. And we all get behind the belief of, if we can achieve that 70 to 80% of the time, we are flying, right? So it means, for example, last night, like I had a really late night dance rehearsal, came home, had a shower, and it's like creeping on the time that I should be going to sleep, but I wanted to watch my dance videos and I wanted to like text my friend and all the things, right? So I'm up at 11 o'clock as opposed to lights out at 10:30. And I'm aware of that, but I'm not making myself wrong for it. I know that I can have a really good day in my business the next day, without like falling off the bandwagon of my standards, right? I trust myself to break my own rules some of the time. And that's the whole point. It's like progress over perfection. Yeah. The relationship that you have with yourself is really, really important as you're working on all of this stuff. Like it's the most important thing.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
It's like that forgiveness for yourself, isn't it? It's not beating yourself up over these things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
So
belief that you
important.
can have everything on your vision board without needing to reach for some kind of perfect version of you. Like, no, we get to raise our standards. We get to build our capacity to hold more without it costing your peace or your energy or whatever. But you can have it as you, right? Like I am the most scatty, like forgetful person. I make mistakes all the time. And it's okay. Like I'm not telling myself a story that I need to change who I am, like on a being level, right? Identity wise, obviously, like there are shifts to make. That's how we change our reality. But in terms of if I'm someone who is just by nature quite scatty, I'm not going to make myself wrong for that and try to be different. It's just who I am. So I don't know. There's nuance to this conversation, but you know, we could literally be here for hours if we unpick every single bit.
Yeah. No,
There's so much, isn't
and I totally get you. I think like what it comes down to, the most important thing, like you said, is trusting yourself, isn't it?
Yeah,
trusting yourself
100%.
to, you know, come out, because a lot of the time I think when we get into this kind of self-awareness, identity creating subconscious world, we can get very rigid all of a sudden. It's supposed to expand us, but actually a lot of the time the shadow part of that is the rigidness, isn't it? And it isn't like, there isn't like a one rule, you have to do this all the time. It is about trusting yourself, showing up for yourself in the moment, whether that means, putting that post out in the time you should, or actually not putting the post out in that time because you need something else. And I think that's the thing behind it, isn't it? It's trusting yourself and listening to your needs and then actually following through on that and praising yourself either way, like acknowledging that that's what you've done. Even if you feel like you've failed, you've actually won because you've shown up for yourself.
Exactly that. That's the number one piece, like that comes from the work that I do with my clients. It's trusting yourself, trusting your clients, trusting that your clients love you, trusting that nothing that you say will, like, trusting that you can't mess up, right? Everything is growth, and the way you look at everything that happens matters, right? Are you looking at it from a place of, okay, this means it's going to take longer than I thought it's going to? Or are you looking at it from a place of, what's here for me to learn from? And you're never actually off your path. I talk about like this analogy of a puzzle, right? And when, like, if you like puzzles, I do. But like, if you do a puzzle, when you get a puzzle and you like open it and you sit down and you do it, there's not one part of your being. Well, this isn't my experience anyway. I don't worry that there's never going to be a missing piece. Well, I just trust that every single piece is there and I'm going to enjoy the process of doing the puzzle. And that is programming related to how you experience a puzzle. And programming affects everything, right? So your programming can have exactly the same amount of trust around your future and around your goals and around your business, right? In the same way as when you go in the bathroom, you turn the tap on, there's nothing in your programming that doubts water is going to come out of the tap. So you can get your programming to a place of everything that happens for me is part of the journey. And even if it looks like I'm far away, I can actually be super close. And you can always stay in that place of excited expectancy of results being around the corner, as long as you're doing your part, right? I'm big into manifestation, but a lot of people get manifestation wrong, where they're just like, visualize it and it's going to fall in your fucking lap. Like, no, you have to take the action, but you have to do it in a way that aligns with your values. And you can only do that if you clear the limiting beliefs that are creating your reality for you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%.
Oh, it's awesome. I can feel my brain rewiring, like just listening to you, Jenna. It's so cool.
Can I just share a really cool story, actually? Because that is so powerful, like what you've just said, Becky. Because just before this call, I had a client. We'd done 3 months together, one-to-one, a little while ago, and she wasn't a business owner at the time, right? Like, I helped her retire from a head teacher job and previously, and then we did another stint together, and it was to help her create the retired reality that she wanted for herself, because it was not how she wanted it to be, and that worked really well. And then we had a standalone session like 3 months later, and what came out of that session was very different than what she thought was going to come out of it. And it turns out she wanted to become a fine artist. That's what was on her heart. And she's really gifted, but she kind of had a quote unquote side hustle of pet portraits, and she thought she might like spend a bit more time doing that. Anyway, off the back of this call was the fact that she wanted to become a fine artist. And I set the kind of invitation to her. I said, that is amazing. I can help you get there. But obviously, like, I would love to work with you. I think you need support to get there, basically. So I'd love to do a little bit more work with you. So we're doing another 3 months, and it's been about a month since that call. I had my first call with her today, and it is incredible, the shift in her visually and in her energy just since our last conversation. And it's because we planted seeds in that previous conversation. And that, like, that's the whole message of the way I teach, and like what is possible. You can change your reality in a single conversation, right? When you're open to massive perspective shifts and things like that, they do happen. It's like when you're 6 and you have a birthday and you wake up and suddenly you're 7, you don't have any problem believing that you're 7 all of a sudden. You just have a new belief. But the issue is, when we come into the personal development world and we really get into this stuff, we kind of subscribe to the narrative that it's really hard to change a limiting belief, and that we give our power away to old stories and old ways. And like, I think my message is quite refreshing, because I call bullshit on the whole thing. Like, it's not at all. You draw a line in the sand and you do the method that I teach, and you can change it all very quickly, because the decisions that you make today affect what's going to happen, not what's happened in the past. Only what's happened in the past matters and influences it if you let it. So yeah, I'm glad you said, like, you feel like your wiring is shifting, because it probably is.
Yes.
Yeah, and you know what? It's like, I'm love that you've said that as well, because this was something that I had to have a little bit of a ego death on, because I'd spent, say, 3 years being the hypnotherapist who does regression, inner child work, rewiring your subconscious beliefs. And I got to a point, much similar to you, our journeys sound very similar in that way, where I was like, shit, I always have to contradict what I have been living, breathing and selling, because I'm like, yeah, you can go back. And that work is like, just don't get me wrong, that work is so helpful, and it's needed. And I think there's stages, right? But you get to a point where you're like, right now, and actually that's where I am, because that's where I've started with the group program that I just started after having all my understanding, like, aha moments like you've had. This is what I'm now doing in my group program. I'm like, you've done your processing and your childhood stuff and all of that, and now it's time to actually just go, you know what, I'm done. Draw a line under the sand. This is how we get over it. And my lens is I'm doing it through kind of like not abandoning yourself and inner safety. It's the same thing as like, I love that you're doing the capacity, but we're saying the same thing. We're doing the same thing. And I'm like, you can actually get this done right now, in this moment, in this conversation. It is about what you do moving forward in terms of showing up for yourself in the moment and doing the work in the moment. And I think it's so powerful because I totally agree with you. And though it was really hard for me to come to that, for quite a long time, I'm like, I have to kind of contradict everything that I've been saying, but that's okay, because I openly talk about that on the podcast, because I'm like, it's my growth. I had to do that to get to where I am now. I'm not ashamed of it. It's not like a bad thing, but I'm just like, this is how I see it now. And I think it's so powerful because, like you said, you can have changes in one conversation. You can feel it rewire. It's a decision. It's a choice. I literally said this to one of my clients yesterday. It's a choice and it's a decision in the moment. And that's enough. That's how it gets to be. So don't worry about trying to claw through why you've got a belief about money because this happened to you at 5 years old and your dad said this and mum said that. Like, no.
Doesn't matter. It's so empowering when you understand that. Like, so empowering.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Oh, this has been awesome.
And it's one of those that I'm just going to carry on rewiring as I go about my day now.
Yes, I love that. You're so good at that.
I love
everywhere.
that.
And I hope everyone listening can kind of do that as well. Because I know we were obviously speaking specifically about business, but as we all know,
I haven't got a business,
everywhere.
and I can apply all this to things going on with
100%.
me. So,
there's no compartmentalization. I have a lot of people actually, because I didn't used to work with business owners, and then I kind of pivoted. I have a lot of people, and also from my personal life, to just watch my stories and tell me that like everything you say that's business related, I just watch and I still get stuff from it because it's all linked and it's all related, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And I just think like I love that we've left it, because actually I was going to come back and say, right, so just to like round this up with the capacity, because obviously that's everything that you're working with, and I wanted to stress the point that the capacity is built, because I think like a lot of people hear the word capacity now. I think it's out there because a lot of this nervous system regulation stuff it's quite popular at the moment, isn't it, for good reason, and capacity is spoken about a lot, but maybe some people don't necessarily understand what capacity is, what it looks like, and how you make it bigger. But I think just like what you've explained is just perfect. That's it. That's what it is. It's doing that, having that process in the moment and repeating it. That's how you build capacity. There's no like big aha moment where you necessarily have like you can feel it grow. It's just you have to just do it, don't you? That's what it is. We have to live our life and do it while we're living our life in the moment, feeling the feelings. And that's what I think you explained that beautifully. I don't know if you want to add anything to that in terms of how that building capacity works. I feel like you've done it, but if there's anything else you want to add, I feel like that could be helpful.
I think it's just I want to just use the moment to really call out, I think a lot of the wellness industry focuses on, when they talk about nervous system, they talk about being calm and being regulated, and that's great. Like, it really is great and it really is needed, but calm is a state, and you can spend a day being calm and not change your capacity. Your capacity is what allows you to experience more without it adding pressure or extra like demands to your plate, right? So you can like hold more clients, or you can hold more visibility without it meaning that you lose your shit with your kids because you've used so much energy doing the things that you wanted to do in your business. So calm is a state. But the real work to do when it comes to the nervous system is building the capacity. So the range in which you stay regulated grows, right?
Yeah, that's
I think so.
Yeah, thank you.
Definitely.
Thanks for that. I think that finished it off nicely.
Awesome.
That's perfect. Jenna, is there anything else, like before we go, is there anything else you feel like cool to share with our audience just to round it all up?
Yes. It is an awareness that most people aren't aware of the conversation that we've just had. So you can look around and you can want something for yourself. You can have the vision, but then be pulled back to thinking, oh, well, that's not likely, or that doesn't happen to someone like me, or all my friends are struggling, so I need to struggle. Like, bullshit. Okay. The most people aren't hearing the things that you've just heard on this conversation. And so let it be true for you, because everybody is literally creating their own reality with their own nervous system. So you can change what's possible for you simply by letting this whole conversation land for you. And then let yourself be a little fish in a big pond, right? Because that's how we expand and normalize new things in our body, by seeing it. When the guy, I can't remember his name. I'm not going to try because I'll get it wrong. But the guy who did Roger Bannister, was it? The 4-minute.
Oh, the 4-minute mile guy.
Yeah. When he did it, it was incredible. But then suddenly everybody was doing it. Not everybody, but like loads more people did it afterwards because they saw what's possible. Now, everything is possible for you, but if you're not letting yourself see the evidence of it, like if you're not intentionally choosing to show your brain the evidence of it, it's like you're in a fishbowl as opposed to letting yourself be in a wide open sea. So yeah, like who you spend your time with, the stuff that you consume, the spaces that you put yourself in, all of that matters.
Right, just before we end this episode, we're talking to you. Yes, you, the one who consumes everything, podcasts, books, courses, still can't embody it. If you know what to do, but you can't seem to actually do it, that's not a motivation problem. It's a subconscious safety problem. So we made a free 12-minute audio called Return to Self to calm your system and bring you back into alignment so things finally start working. Link in the show notes. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. That's so important. That is when we're trying to expand and we're trying to grow, we have to think outside of our level of awareness and consciousness, don't we? And that is why, I know, when I was trying to work on building my business, I deliberately put myself in groups where I just felt so insignificant, because now I'm looking when we, talk about money, and I'm seeing that it's totally normal for me, for women like us doing heart-led businesses, helping other people, to be earning 6 figures a month. I would never have even dreamed that was possible, say 5 years ago. I would have just thought that is just not even true. Now I'm like, yeah, of course. And when's that going to happen for me? Because I totally believe it's just a possibility for me now. And I think that's just one small example of how, when we put ourselves out into these places that make us feel a little bit uncomfortable, we actually see what's possible. And that kind of goes back to what I was saying to you earlier, when a lot of people can't see or envisage what that version of you actually looks like. Put yourself out into the, like you said, put yourself into the big open water so you can actually start seeing what other people are making possible, and then it can become possible for you. You can be like, oh, I like that. Well, no, that's not for me, but actually that inspires me. Do you know what I mean? It's just, that's how we start growing and expanding as well. And then obviously when we're feeling uncomfortable by being in those situations, you then employ your method where you catch it in the moment. You're feeling uncomfortable. No, I deserve to be here. No, I'm worthy of this. All of those things you can start saying to yourself. So I love that. Amazing. Oh, Jenna, where can people find you?
Oh, thank you. On Instagram is my home at I am Jenna Holloway. And I have a new podcast. It's a private podcast. I have a public podcast, but I put together a 5-part secret podcast that really goes into this. It's called Expand on Demand. And I'm recording it just before today and over the next few days. So I'm hopefully by the time this episode comes out, it will be available. So you can look for that on my Instagram. And yeah, I'm excited to share that.
Oh, amazing. Jenna, if you could send that over to us, I'll make sure that that's in the show notes as well, because by the time this comes out, that will be ready to go. So that'd be awesome. I think that's something you guys can just stop on this and go and head over onto Jenna's private podcast and continue the conversation. I love that. That's awesome. Jenna,
amazing.
Thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on.
It has.
Thank you so much for having me. I've loved every minute.
Oh, yay, amazing. Right, well, that's it, guys. We will see you next week. Take care.
Bye-bye.